Yeah, yeah. So did you follow what I was just referencing? Like, if
What
you're
would that sound be if there was a band with it? Um,
and it doesn't have to necessarily be that way if you want to go straight acoustic, if that's the main genre that you're going towards, or or the folk rock.
um, yeah, it's hard to call it, a genre because I think it's like mixed elements in there. But I think if you were to, you know, add a band to it, it could probably be like I don't know, like a folk pop or folk rock pop.
Okay. I
I
also
mean,
hear piano with yours quite often. Like, I feel like piano would be an integral instrument in there as well.
like with the song we wrote, or with the one I did like with like
Just from
Sarah's.
your sound, from hearing you sing, like that style, like it would accompany it very well.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like slower songs. I feel like my voice tunes into a slower melody a little better, but I'm open to different tempos.
Hmm.
But when I hear you sing, I get a little intimidated because I'm like, I can't sing that fast, like all these lines all over the place, like, you know. But
And again, this is why we would each have our own reach going into different directions and still be able to collaborate across and do that where where we're collaborating on the songs and being able to release them together. Sometimes, like I like doing mine in that speed, and also I feel the message can get lost in there because really what especially doing conscious lyrics and stuff along those lines and where we are is more about the message than it is about the song. So I second guess that sometimes, but then it also goes back. Then I could play it acoustically and slow it down tremendously. So you're comparing like apples and oranges too,
yeah, I
and
know.
it's about getting the message across. So we have this space that now between me, you, potentially Sarah, John, um, whoever, we have different veins of genres, then we could take those messages down those paths and cross collaborate. So then, the people that like my style can also be in touch with your style. And if they resonate with the message, then the music aspect of it doesn't matter. And this has been, it's part of the reason why I haven't released any of my music. Like, I just, the world has been set up to hear the music first, and and like the message doesn't matter. I mean, that's why rap is big, is because it really goes down to the beat, and that's used, those being danceables taken to the clubs, and then they just have some hook lines in there that catch people, and a lot of the majority of that kind of goes through the wayside. I also heard um, somebody mention, and I don't, I feel like it's close, but like somebody to listen to a song 7 times to actually understand the lyrics in it.
Yeah, I've heard that too. I've heard that too. Um, I kind of see myself. I kind of have a vision of like at some point doing like mantra songs too, like as an added element. I because of the conscious music
Hmm.
concept. And it's funny because a few years ago I was talking about this with a couple of friends of mine, and uh, it was weird because I was following this YouTuber who's like a really like very kind of a famous YouTuber. I just bumped into him on the street in Manhattan that I was following. Um, anyway, they have their own YouTube channel, and he was in a couple of movies. And my friend Peter, who's a Reiki master, like he trained me and all that. Um, he was involved with music. So we're just talking about like the music, like how we foresee the music styles changing, like the music style changing, like more of a spiritual aspect to the music. and different kinds of lyrics and sort of mantra-ish. And I just had this vision for a while, like for a couple of years. So maybe a few years. So I don't know. I feel like there's something going to be going on with that.
I completely agree with you, and it's one of the reasons why I like even the subtlety. I do my music in 432 hertz, which is like the universal frequency, and compared to 440, which is was come up, the human that's the human generated one. So based off of combining a couple different and creating a world one, but for me, like the universal frequency of 432 resonates with our body, um, more about life and love compared to 440.
That's interesting. I was going to bring that up to you because I've seen like 528 hertz instruments or guitars, like the 528. Have you heard of the 528 hertz?
Yeah.
Because that's one that I like a lot. And
I
I've
think
heard that.
528 is actually like unconditional love, if I recall correctly. I think that's just the straight love frequency.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Um, so I was into that one. I've been into that one for a few years. I don't know. I just stick to that one. But I've seen that the guitar they've had made guitars with the 528 hertz built in. Like I don't know. I was going to ask you about that too. Like I know that there are instruments that are coming out with the different hertz. But yeah, I'm in agreement with you. Like the whole they've changed the hertz in the music industry to to I guess give us subliminal messages or I don't know what doing rewire our brain or do something to
Yeah,
us.
I haven't searched into 440 so much as I've been reaching out and seeing what the other ones were about. I feel like in that 440 has something to do with causing confusion within a cellular
Yeah.
level, and it does go back to what you were just referencing. Like if you could create confusion, then put a message underneath that,
Hmm.
it ends up being a subliminal message because you have this confusion layered over it. So you're looking for the one constant in it, and that ends up being, like the subliminal message is what they'll end up creating as a constant underneath there.
Right. What was 432 again?
It was, I think it's like the frequency of the universal frequency, maybe of creation or of life.
Oh, okay.
I researched this stuff a while ago and I don't have the specifics anymore, but
Yeah.
it's
I
just
know.
something that I will like because of that. There was a couple of reasons why, because I have a friend that likes to do 444 hertz and she plays like acoustic in that frequency. I forget what that one is, but there's something with that. I liked 432 because it brought down the register for me so I could actually sing fuller. It's a little higher pitch, or not higher pitch, it's lower pitch, so I can actually, it appears that I'm higher, and when I sing fuller out, like I can hit a note higher basically than what I could at 440 hertz.
Right. And how do you do that? Is your guitar 432 hertz?
I've tuned it down, and that's what I was going to ask. Like, I haven't messed around with 528, like tuning my guitar to it. I'm assuming that I could. It may put too much tension on the strings that it may not be able to get there. I don't know. I'd have to research into that. Again, like the frequency stuff, it's been a little while for me since I've researched it. I just kind of
Right.
researched it,
Me too.
picked what I wanted out of it, and started going with that. And I feel like it's been beneficial because of what I just stated, being able to kind of hit a note higher more or less because I'm dropping the tuning down from 440 to 432.
Okay. I didn't know you could tune your guitar to a certain hertz. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, you could, I use a tuning app called Guitar Tuna, and you can go in and just change where the frequency is and go from there and drop it down. So,
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that.
how's your Spire?
I didn't open the box yet. I was busy the whole from the morning till the night.
I get it. Those days happen. We sat at
Yeah.
the breakfast table yesterday from I was there from 7:30 to 2:30. So we had a lot of beautiful discussions, and there was a lot of personal stuff there. I didn't speak much, but I, and maybe I wasn't needed there, and but I also felt like it was important for me to be there. So,
Right.
and it goes back to my ex, Melissa. She was here, and her mom was here, and nothing. I mean, there was a couple things that came up revolving around me, but other than that, it was more about her childhood and going through stuff. So, and also parenting.
Right. I was gonna say your ex, you guys are like friends, obviously, because she showed up to the lyrics of lunch and all that. You're
Yeah,
you're good, like you're good friends or friend, you know.
we're
It's better
we're
to
friends, and we're coming together for um, like all that is petty bullshit, and it's for the betterment of ourselves and to for the world, and to be able to show that like you could have this history, and really like I'm a new person since so, and she's becoming a new person as you're peeling back these layers like at every moment, especially going through like a hot seat or something like that. You remove layers of crap. You do have to continue working on that to keep it out, and you're shedding layers, so you're a new person from that.
yeah. I started this work like back in was it 2000? Like, because I know Kirk and Jonathan did landmark education. Um,
I don't know
so
if
I know,
Jonathan did. I definitely Kirk. I feel like Jonathan did not do landmark.
oh, okay, it was Kirk then.
Yeah.
Because I started this work back in 2000 and kind of I got the foundation of it in 2000, and then it kind of like set me on this path of like doing my own little breakthroughs, regression and stuff like that. So I was familiar with it since the year 2000. But then what was crazy is that I ended up getting in messes anyway, right, in my life, but into messes. But it's interesting how it's like full circle now, the full circle now, because after my marriage, I kept fantasizing about like, I'd love to get back into this kind of work, but there was no landmark classes around me because I live in a small town here in PA. So, I'd have to go to a big city or something like that. But I was like, I'd love to get back into that kind of work because I loved it so much. The breakthrough work, even though it was a little different. I mean, it was the regression breakthroughs that they focused on,
Mhm.
just the regression breakthroughs. Um, but there was no was resistance pattern release, or I love that, nothing like that. But um, yeah, so it's like full circle for me because now it's like I'm actually diving deep right into it's like wherever I left off, I'm just going back to that, and I love it. It's like it's so awesome. I mean, am I peeling all the layers? I mean, I probably not. We always have another layer to peel, but I just really love working on myself and also helping others, like bring awareness to others about it, you know?
That's exactly what this is all about. Is we're going down the path, and as we're going down the path, we're looking behind, not really looking behind, but we're leaving breadcrumbs for those that are going down the same path to take that journey, and they can veer off if they want, and we have to be unattached to that. Um, because when you start to force it, creates conflict of some sort, any force. So um, there usually people get resentful and don't like to be forced. So it steers them away from that path. So just carrying on doing your business and staying focused on your next step is key. Also having like the village and the visionary and different stuff like that, like groups to hold you accountable, because our ego will allow us, if it's just us, to maybe not completely do a breakthrough or dive as far as we want, or could go, and to be able to have people around us at all times, like even just this little thing here doing lyrics and lunch is just a getting together and being able to dive a little deeper in a smaller group than like the visionary, so and and
Yeah,
everything that you're doing with the gratitude rampage is, that's an opportunity for people to see the greatness in themselves. Same with Sarah's greatness thing, like once we start showing those positive vibrations, it's easier to, and putting out those positive spaces, it's easier for us to, one, feel confident and comfortable that there is a group surrounding us that has our best interests at heart and allows us to become more vulnerable and dive deeper into spaces that we haven't gone in decades. Um,
yeah, yeah. It's like addictive in a way. It's like, because there's breakthroughs you can do on anything, on
mm,
anything. I don't know. I guess it's like, you know, when I've listened to the law of attraction stuff that I've been into for a while, the teacher that I follow the most is Esther Hicks, and she always said, well, you're not going to get everything at once because you won't be able to handle it. So whatever you're looking for or looking to manifest, you're not going to get everything at once, right? So even if, let's just say, God and the universe knows what you need, right? And what's best for you. So let's just say I can only deal with one breakthrough for 1 week, then that's what I can deal with. Do you know what I mean? Like that's kind of how I look at it. Like, okay, maybe, like Chris, when she was doing the breakthrough class, like one breakthrough a day. I wasn't doing a breakthrough a day. I would do a lot of I love that. So I would do maybe Ho'oponoponos or different things that I do, but I would do resistance pattern release once in a while, but maybe once a week on myself. But I don't know. I think everybody has their own timing of things in their lives, and
it's very
what's best
true.
for them.
It's letting the flower unfold. We're all different flowers, and where I'm getting water or you're getting water or nutrients is going to be two different things. We could be two completely different flowers. So like all of that is in the equation to when the flower unfolds. And yeah, so we each go at our own pace, just like within nature. So
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Um, Sarah said she'd be here at 12:30, I think. She said because she's having a call with Kirk. Did you get a message from her?
maybe, but I just got back from the breakfast table, so I didn't.
I
Uh,
Okay. I was gonna ask, like, if I go down there, well, I am going down there. Um, is that what I'm gonna be involved with, the breakfast table every morning?
yeah,
Okay.
so we get together at 7:30, and that's like the main people at the village, just talking about business around the village, and then 8 o'clock, everybody else joins. So you would join at 8 o'clock, and we kind of feel into what anybody's got coming up. We have a shit bucket in the middle of the table, so if you're triggered by anything or anybody around you has triggered you or you feel is triggered, you could throw it in the shit bucket and we pull it out, go through that. Everybody finds themselves in that, and we kind of do a group breakthrough at the table around it. And uh, generally, it ends with a resistance release, for the whole collective, which is pretty powerful. It's like, I feel like the majority of the time when we have the resistance release here, like I open up my eyes and the world is just brighter, the birds are singing louder. It's like is just like the universe is that much more awake afterwards. I don't know.
Yeah, I
Well,
felt
I'm that
that.
much more awake to the universe, but it just seems like there's a film that comes off of the observation of all that. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I felt back then in like the year 2000, like in the early 2000s when I joined Landmark, I was like, everything's brighter, more beautiful. Like it was kind of like an addictive feeling. Like I want to feel this way, like all the time, you know?
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, so when they, so as far as a trigger, just a question. Um, when somebody gets triggered, are they still triggered? So is it pertaining to if you're still triggered or feeling triggered, or did you feel triggered yesterday and it kind of just, and you were able to kind of
You can put your thing in the shit
use
bucket
it?
whenever you're feeling it, and then it comes up to the group
Okay.
the next morning. And some not really in lunchtime we do it so much because everybody's kind of got classes and different going on things going on. So it's generally a breakfast thing. I think there's been a couple times that we've done it also at lunch, but it's generally when everybody's there so we can all feel into it and all find ourselves in it and up level the group, not just that one person or the two people involved in it, but everybody gets up leveled from it.
Right, right, right. I spoke to Sarah too a couple days ago, and she was talking about the um people or guys she knows in Finland, which I thought that was neat. Did she ever talk to you about that?
Oh, she did. We talked about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that's pretty neat too, that whole thing. Yeah, about affiliate marketing or something. And they're also wanting to build sustainable villages with it, um, with the proceeds or something. I don't know. But it sounds interesting, I have to say.
Yeah,
So we're
there's
probably all on the right path, you know?
hmm all that stuff is going to keep opening up as we just continue to what we got going on as far as music speaks to everybody. So it's a beautiful
Yeah.
space to be in.
I might need a breakthrough with memorizing my lyrics though. Like if I sing in public, that's probably what I'll bring to the breakfast table.
I think we'll get that handled beforehand.
Oh, okay. Right. Yeah, because yesterday my master class, when I ended it, I did say that public speaking was my biggest fear. And
You faced it.
I faced it. I've been started facing. That's kind of what Earth Waking did for me. Because I remember the first day I joined, I kept getting a voice. I don't, you might have heard this story before. Like I kept getting a voice in my head, like, just say something. Doesn't matter what it is, just because I kept saying my ego was like, I'm gonna be quiet. I'm just gonna let everybody talk and whatever, whatever. And because I haven't really been in a group setting for a long time like that. I mean, even virtually, because kind of been on my own for a while. And I just the first day I was like, my ego was like, no, 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 I'm just not gonna participate, I'm not gonna say anything. Just let everybody else talk. And then I remember a voice kept coming in my head, just say something, doesn't matter what, just say anything. And then that's what I ended up sharing. That was part of what that once I volunteered to speak, I couldn't stop. Like it was just like, kept raise my hand. So I don't know. I feel like that voice was the spirit, right? Speaking through me. It's like, just do it anyway. And you'll be free on the other side of it.
Well,
So
what I gathered from that is one, you should have said public speaking was a fear of mine at the end of that.
I think I did. The end of the master class was my number one fear.
Oh, you said it was because you said
Was.
is. I'm pretty sure you said is
Oh,
right
I might have
there.
said
So
is to you, but I got to look back. I'm pretty sure I said was. Yeah. Well, and
regardless, it was now. You got through it.
yeah, yeah. And Jonathan has been instrumental because the things he says, really hit home. Like just, Clunky's New Perfect. What was the other thing he says? Oh, if you're gonna say, I think I attended one of his things. I forgot recently, and he was talking about like, or it was ALL. I think he was talking about like sometimes he forgets stuff, or sometimes he'll say something stupid, but then genius comes right after, and So stuff like that. I'm like, you know what? If he can do it, I mean, I can do it. He's like my example. Like, because I do sometimes after the fact. If I'm speaking, I don't know, like a couple breakthrough classes, I remember saying, well, why did I say that? Like that was, or why did I react that way? Or why did I, and like kind of beat myself up, like, because I have a little bit of a perfectionist nature, like I just like, oh, I have to say things perfectly, um, kind of thing. But,
And that's
and
our ego,
yeah,
so we don't get attacked for saying the wrong things, or saying the wrong thing, or saying the inappropriate thing and being reprimanded when we were children, or young adults, and whatever happened in the past to put us in that box.
right,
Feel that.
right. And then I have this thing with my head, like, because I've studied so many languages, um, that like I feel like sometimes I can't come up with the word, but I'll come up with it in Spanish or something. Um, and I remember like my senior year of college, senior year of college. No, what am I talking about? My last year of college, right? Um, I was actually, all right, I'll tell the story in a minute. Hi, Sarah.
You're muted.
Hi, Sarah.
I know you're not muted
Hey.
now.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. I just had a meeting with Kirk that was the bomb.
I was going to say, how did it go? Okay, cool. The bomb.
Yeah, it was really good. It was very eye-opening. I needed to hear some of the things that were said, and it was perfect the way that it was. So it was good.
Did he reconfirm what you already were feeling or
And
thinking?
he highlighted a lot of things that I also needed to take a look at and take responsibility for, and I'm ready to step into that. So it's really good.
That's
And
awesome.
what better way to do that with purpose and surrender and responsibility and everything else for this week? It was just
I was gonna say
right
last
on the
night.
money.
What? Yeah, I was gonna say last night was right on the money for you, right?
Yeah,
What
I
you're
think
going
all the
through.
stars are aligning right now, no joke, with a lot of different things. And
Mhm.
yeah,
And the
it's quite
Sunday
powerful.
service, which had talked about friends to our purpose or mission compared to enemies to our personal, and then friends to our personal but enemies to the mission, basically, or our purpose.
Yeah, but it was like I'm so grateful for those though, uh, because I'm like, whoa, now I'm seeing where I need to clean up my side of the street.
Mm,
It has nothing to do with the other person. It has everything to do with me, and what is it that I'm doing that keeps bringing those vibrations up,
mm.
and what is it that I have to do? And so it was very powerful, and it was well needed.
Yeah, I was gonna say your outside world reflects your inner world,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
right? Yeah, because even believe that my ex-husband was a catalyst for my growth, you know. And I told someone that a couple years ago, like I'm so grateful, thankful for what I went through with my ex-husband or for my whatever. And the person was like, "What? How? What? Why would you be grateful? Like you just went through so much stuff." And I'm like, "Cause I am. I'm just grateful. Like I learned a lot, you know." So I
Yeah.
don't know. Have you guys heard of the book Sacred Contracts? I mean, I never read it, but my aunt read it and she told me about it and how like um we make sacred contracts on the other side with other, our soul family, I guess, people from our soul family. And okay, we're gonna come in and we're gonna do this at this point in this life for our own growth. I do believe in that. I really believe in that.
Well,
It's just
Stephen even spoke about it one time with me, and he was like, yeah, our contract's done, when he was talking about it's Melly, right?
Yeah, Melissa.
Yeah. So I remember you speaking to that, and I totally agree with that. It's our blueprints. Those are kind of contracts, right? Of, our, like, what we kind of decided to do when we came down here to be able to transcend, you
Mm.
know? And that's all part of the makeup for all of us. And it's our choice whether or not we're going to do that in this lifetime or another one, you know? So
Right. And
might as well do it now.
do you guys know Astrid?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think she's amazing. She was in my breakthrough class, a couple times, and we all felt like she was channeling George Floyd. Was it the guy who died? The black man who died in the whole, during that summer of like all the riots and all that. That's what started the riots. And so what came to her during our breakthrough class is that George Floyd and that police officer had a sacred contract on the other side to help uplift consciousness. And like, I got goosebumps. I mean, she was getting goosebumps, but it was pretty profound. So
He was the one that was in like Tennessee or Kentucky or something like that.
um
Or was he New York?
I think New York, I think.
All right.
New York.
I was confusing him with the other one that was in.
Yeah, she was saying that they are best friends on the other side. So they're very close on the other side, and they came to a mutual agreement that when they come on the physical plane, they are going to create this situation to help uplift consciousness. I mean, it was so profound, and everybody in the class was like, whoa, like, it got pretty deep that day. Got pretty deep, but
Yeah.
yeah. It's like, how deep can you go?
It reminds me of my favorite book. It's The Little Soul in the Sun. One chooses to come down to hurt someone, and the other one gets to choose to forgive. It's my favorite children's book, and it's like one of my favorite books of all time. And I read that to people all the time. And every time I feel like I get goosebumps. I cry almost every time, and I get really into the characters when I'm reading it. And it's one of the most profound books about life and
Wow.
what we chose to do coming down here. Yeah, it's by Neil Donald Walsh, and it's
I love him.
What is it called
and
again?
The Little Soul in the Sun.
As I read the trilogy of Neil Donald Walsh.
All of the
Like
Conversations with God.
I was like around 30 or so, and I read all 3 books. I was like, I couldn't get enough of that information. It was awesome.
Yeah, same with Michael Singer, The Untethered Soul, and there's a lot. I read a lot, so right now I'm reading In His Steps by Charles M. Sheldon, and that one is so profound. It's an easy read, and it's about making a vow to like always say right before you're going to do something, what would Jesus do? And so every single choice and every action that you make, you're bringing him in. Like, so you're calling him in every single step that you make. And if he doesn't do it, don't do it. And it changed not only that person's life, but it affected everyone's town and every single thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just really impactful book. And I'm like, whoa, I really need to call God in every single moment and every single step that I'm doing, and get out of the way.
Well, that's also what would love do as well. Like you can see that. Right? And that also that kind of correlates to the 5th level of consciousness, right? So you're kind of like becoming conscious of being on the level of level 5 consciousness, right? So you're kind of growing into it, like, right? I mean,
yeah, and it's every simple step, it's like how you talk to yourself. It's, how you're responding to people in your reality, and doing it with love. And, when you're like, even Kirk said this on the call, he goes, if there's only a little bit of milk in the fridge and you're like saying, why isn't somebody grabbing the extra part? Why are they doing that? Why is the lid off or something? I don't remember exactly what he said, but it's that vibration. It's how are you using every single moment?
Right.
And it's such a huge awareness, and to be aware in every moment, I think, is the key of how are you using every single simple thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah,
profound.
we've had a big where basically words don't matter. It's the energy behind it.
Hmm.
Has really come up quite a bit here. Actually, with Melissa's mom, she had a tough time with that because she's in her head and has all this knowledge, and yet the being of it, that that being is not there. The energy behind it is from fear, not from love. So like just having that knowledge and having it from the old world mentality can put you in hell, or you shift that and come from love with that knowledge and it can create heaven.
Yeah.
Doesn't that have to do something with transformation for evil? Does that kind of
Yeah.
correlate to that?
It does kind of correlate to that. You can transform every single thing into that. Even if somebody's using you out your name, they're calling you names. Like I could have used what happened with me with, who, uh, to be detrimental to myself or detrimental to him. So it it's best to kind of converse and ask for something else to come through, right? And if you can't get yourself centered with God in that moment, go get a breakthrough, contact your A team, get people involved that can channel that through so you can express it, and let it be seen and let it be heard. Be authentic, be real, because that's what you're going through. If you don't acknowledge it, then it's just going to pack and stack, and you're not going to let it out. The big thing that I was doing was bypassing acknowledging it and went straight into forgiveness. And that's not going to help. That only packs and stacks, and it's still there. So not acknowledging it is the big key for me. Because I'd constantly just be like, oh yeah, I forgive you, and I thought that was okay, but then the pattern would continue, and then I'd get upset if the pattern continued. Well, there's something that I needed to clean up. I didn't acknowledge it, and I didn't set a boundary, and I didn't say, with my energy, that's a no-go for me. I was still allowing that in because I didn't set a boundary. And
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of what I was talking about with Kirk too, was like, wow, okay, I acknowledge that. I'm not setting boundaries, even with my energy. I'm allowing myself to constantly get perpetrated against because of my energy being slightly and still in victim mode a bit, but it's transcending, but there's layers to it, and so that's a big thing for me right now is setting those boundaries and saying, this is what I am. This is no longer who I am. And being responsible for that, making the choices for it, you know?
You didn't take
So
anything from the selflessly selfish masterclass on setting boundaries. Man, I need to rework it. Sacred
I
knows.
okay, well, I did do that. I did set some boundaries this week. I did that on Monday, because I had set a boundary. I'm like, don't contact me for a couple of days. Like I need a couple of days, and that wasn't happening. And so I ended up getting a breakthrough around it. Bradley helped me through a breakthrough on Monday, and um, he's so funny. He was like, "You asked for it, so I'm going to give it to you." And we were doing, and I love that pattern. And he goes, "Yeah, I love attracting abusive assholes, and I love that." And that was kind of hard. It was triggering, a little bit. I'm not going to lie, but it was very powerful because I decided to take action in that moment and stop communication with that person. I'm waiting for other people to do what I needed to do for myself. That's a big one. I'm going to write that down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, once your inner state changes, your inner world, then the outside world reflects it, right? So I know getting out of my marriage was like my big 2x4. And I finally completely woke up to having complete boundaries, like just boundaries to the point where it was with everybody. Like you are not crossing this line, you know? So I just see how when I changed, then my outside circumstances changed. So I no longer was attracting situations like that, or very little, you know, very little. Maybe there's a test there, because there was one person I attracted that I let him go, but
But you had that awareness.
what?
You had that awareness, and you
Yeah,
got the
I
test.
had that.
And learned the
I had,
lesson.
yeah, I had that awareness, and
Sorry for stepping in there, but I wanted to
no,
thank
it's
you for
okay.
that.
Thank
That was a
you.
divine intervention there.
No, because I grew as a person, and I think maybe I need another last thing to show up to see, hey, did you learn your lesson? You
That's
know,
it.
and that's kind of what happened with that. But I'm
Well,
like,
people say they got the 2x4. I got bricks. Okay, I got the brick wall.
right, right.
Yeah.
Brick wall, like bricks on your head, or brick wall around you?
No, just like, you know, the dummy in the car with the, you know, the
Okay.
crash. And yeah,
Oh, okay, I get it.
I got the brick wall.
Those
Yeah,
hurt the most, and yet they're the easiest to traverse because you know what's in front of you now. You know exactly what is in front of you. All you have to do is skew the direction that you're going to go around that. So they are the most painful when you hit that brick wall, and
Yeah.
you know, to be aware of those brick walls.
Yeah.
yeah. You might see the brick wall like from far away, and like, okay, I'm not going out near that brick wall.
Well, I'm an all-in kind of gal. I'm like, okay, foot's all the way down on the gas. Let's go. And I'm not realizing it's there until I look up and be like, oh, okay. All right. I'm awake. I'm awake. I get it now. Yeah.
Well, be grateful that you're learning it at 34, because I still didn't
Yeah, I
know it.
must have done
Okay.
something in my past life to be able to to get all this and all the blessings and the people, you know, that are here helping to be alive right now. I see it, you know, as one of the greatest gifts, because we can actually feel what it's like to be a soul in a human body. It's just navigating how to be a human, you know, because we still are an animal. We have instincts and needs, and it's understanding what the body needs and taking care of it, you know, so it's a
Consciously
huge thing.
aware.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say I could identify with what you were saying last night in the chat, Sarah, about the sorry. The word doesn't count if there's no action behind it. And it took me back to a time when I was with my daughter's father, and he'd leave me these crazy messages, because we didn't live together at the time. We were a couple, but we didn't live. He lived in Brooklyn, I lived in Staten Island, and he would like leave me these messages sometimes, before we had our daughter and even after. Like, just, I don't know if he'd take these pills and he'd just go off on me, like call me these names and leave me a message with all these names. And then so one day, like after my daughter was like born, I don't know, maybe she was like 6 months old, a year old or something, he left me a crazy message again. And then I said to him, just straight out, how would you like it if when your daughter grows up, there's a guy that calls her these names? Would you like that? You know, like, I don't know what I said, but whatever I said made him stop, because then he kind of realized, oh shit, you know, like that could happen to my daughter, and I wouldn't want that to happen to my daughter. But he always would say sorry. He always would say sorry, and I'd forgive him. And then it was like the cycle would repeat, you know, and yeah, that was a crazy cycle too. I remember, but the whole sorry thing was like, I don't want your sorry. I just want you to change your behavior, you know? But it eventually did, because I stood up to him. But no, I mean, that part of it anyway. The other stuff, he was still a little, he'd still go off. He just wouldn't call me names, but.
And you also can't get them to change their behavior. The only way you can affect that is by setting your boundaries. And they're either that will either shift their behavior to be within those boundaries, or it will send them on their way. And that's the only thing that we can be in control of there is setting those boundaries and maintaining them. Especially in the place of somebody just saying sorry and getting away with it and letting that be a repeat pattern. Because we teach people how to treat ourselves, or we teach people how to treat us by how we treat ourselves. We also teach people how to treat themselves by how we treat ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so true. That's so true. Yeah, really good lessons here. I
This is
was gonna,
this is a
go
different
ahead.
version of lyrics and lunch. I feel like it's not like on a specific topic, but yet it's still flowing.
It seems like it's all on responsibility.
Maybe that's it.
Yeah,
No
but
joke. It's your response to everything in life. Set your boundary, know your worth, have values. I even did a post the other day, and it was like integrity is not ever having to say you're sorry. And a lot of people I got a lot of different feedback on that, on people's opinions about what that means. And Jonathan England wrote to it, and uh, he said, I think that that's a fruit of like once you're in integrity. But I do believe that there is a key thing about getting into integrity is saying you're sorry. And
Mm-hmm.
I felt that, though still I feel that there's a difference with, oh, I'm sorry versus an apology with an active action that is going to take responsibility, right? That I believe is way different than, I'm sorry, because I'm sorry it doesn't mean anything anymore to me. It really doesn't. And it's like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And you keep doing the same things. Like keep your fucking I'm sorries. I don't want to hear you saying I'm sorry. I want to hear what you have to say about what you're going to do differently. And
yeah,
being authentic and being real is living an unapologetic life, right? So everyone's doing things with intent, but sometimes they're just not aware of that intention. There's a becoming, yes. So I believe that there is ways to feel sorry, though I think it doesn't mean anything unless you have the intention of actually doing something different.
Which is the restoring of integrity, basically, where you do say
Yeah.
sorry and you take those actions to not have that happen again.
Yeah. I mean, because we're all becoming aware of our actions and our inactions, especially things that we don't do. Like the things that we don't do actually affect people the most. It's like not taking those actions, not getting into the momentum, or, because people feel like they're left out or abandoned or not worthy or not enough because we're not taking those steps or those actions for ourselves and other people. And so it's our inaction actually is the biggest part that we're becoming aware of. And so, and it's a becoming, it's all of that. And however anybody wants to say it is fine. But for what I've noticed in my life, people use the word I'm sorry and it's so meaningless. They just make it to self-sabotage upon themselves, to feel the like, oh, I did something wrong and now I'm going to take it as a self-sabotage and I'm going to use this against myself because now I claimed I'm wrong. And you're not wrong. It's that you are becoming aware. So do something differently, because you're always right until you find out that you're right again. And just what are you right about? Like, because everyone's right that something happened to them. Everyone's right about all those things, but what do you want to be right about? And so that's kind of how I feel, at least with that. And I loved how everyone got triggered with that because it brought up so many different things for people in the call last night. And I was like, wow, actually, people are really becoming authentic, and talking a lot more. And I even got a couple of calls last night, and it was from Nancy and Paul. And I did a breakthrough with Paul last night. It was gorgeous. Like, and I felt it. Like there's such a difference now. Like it's not even just for the other person, it's for me too, and recognizing that it has shifted everything. Like especially with the receiving and self-care like we did last week, I really felt the difference of what it truly means the world gets blessed when I receive. And it's on all spectrums. Especially the ones that are bringing out your ego, or their ego, because we learn in the world of contrast. There's no other way about it. And so if somebody is showing you their ego and you're able to recognize it, look at how far you come to acknowledge your own ego, because that's yours too.
Mhm.
And it's like you're actually recognizing what you transcended so you can pass that information on to someone in love rather than trying to put them down. And that was a big thing for me. So I'm like, I'm not getting upset. I'm not getting like angry. I'm actually very grateful that I have the opportunity to give somebody what I wish I would have gotten, when I was in my ego, rather than being like punched down or hit or whatever. It's like, oh no, I can be love in this moment and I can offer you something if you're willing to take it. And even my silence is giving you that, because I'm passing the energy off to you anyways.
Mhm.
That was huge. It was huge for me to see that.
Before you hopped on, we were discussing kind of the breakthroughs, and Sophia was referencing how she was doing like the resistance release and some stuff on her own, and then I was speaking to how we do it here at the village at breakfast time, doing our breakthroughs and having that group of people around to support you in that, and everybody is finding that shit in themselves. So when we get done at breakfast, so yesterday I sat down at breakfast at 7:30, didn't get up till 2:30. So we did a resistance release on letting go, and the desire to have control ended up being what we did it on. But it was 10 of us or something like that sitting there around everybody going into this space and finding it within themselves, and that was for the pretty much the whole morning and afternoon. So when we got up at 2:30, I was like, thank you guys for breakfast.
I, I was actually going to
That is
mention,
so gorgeous, though. Like, wow,
yeah, that is awesome.
it really is.
Go ahead, Sophia. It is beautiful. I'm sorry. Go
No,
ahead.
no, no, no. I was just gonna, what's coming to me lately is because my daughter does say sorry a lot. So I'm like, well, let's just say you didn't do dishes like you said you were gonna do. Sorry. Like, sorry. Like, that's her main thing. Sorry. I'm trying to get her out of sorry, but I'm feeling like, and her dad said that all the time too. Sorry. Obviously it's a different thing. It's not like she's, it's usually things she doesn't do around the house or something like that, but if she forgets to do. But I'm seeing it as like a victim energy. Like, I think that the feeling I'm getting is that she's feeling bad about herself because she's constantly having to say she's sorry. And I think she resents me for it then. Do you know what I mean? Like, so I wrote down Christy's apology. Like, I acknowledge, because I'm trying to figure out this whole thing about sorry, right? So, it's been on my mind. So I wrote down, I acknowledge that my behavior could have hurt or affected you in some way. How can I assist you in moving beyond this? And then Chris was, and I wrote hers down too. I am sorry for being unaware or unconscious of my actions. I see now that, oh, this is not take, I don't know. I can't read my own writing, but anyway, I'm sorry for being unaware or unconscious of my actions. Something about, I see now that behavior is not taking me where I want to go.
Mhm.
Or wanting to be, because I'm wanting to be in love. So I like those. So I'm going to try to like work on those and see, because I like to word, so I like to offer it to my daughter. I like to maybe say it to my daughter. Like if I'm feeling sorry from the old world, like I want to translate that into the new earth version. So I'm trying to figure out a way to word it myself. So I thought that was really helpful.
I feel like
I don't know why this is coming. Oh, go ahead, Stephen.
I feel like
Sorry.
that's taken from the restoring integrity thing, is basically laid out 3 different things. Like I acknowledge this is what I did wrong. Or yeah,
Well, wrong, there's no wrong or right. So
yeah,
I
I
acknowledge that I
acknowledge
might have
that
hurt
this,
you.
yes, exactly.
Okay.
Then
Or my actions could have
the
hurt you.
action step.
Right. And the action steps. Okay, so then I will try and like, okay, I'll just give an example of what happened to me the other day. You guys mind? Because oh, wait a minute, it's 1 o'clock. Okay. So do we have a little time, or do you have to go, Stephen?
I have a little time.
Okay, well, just take a couple minutes, a
You
minute.
good, Sarah? All right, cool.
I'm good.
So my daughter, I said to my daughter, we were going to go prom dress shopping. That's what we did on Sunday. So I had to go get water because I'm addicted to Fiji water and I ran out. So I had to go get water on the way to where we were going to go get her prom dress, which is like the next city over, like 40-minute drive. And so she just, and I had said to her, like, eat something before we go because we're going to eat later dinner and you just need some fuel in your body. So eat something. And then we'll go. Well, she didn't eat anything. Like she had a lot of time to do it. So she just, and we're leaving late, because I had to do some work in the morning. I'm like, so she says to me, so she's like, Mom, can we get Subway on the way to Altoona? And then maybe that's my trigger a little, but I guess I was like, well, why do you have to say that last minute? Like, do you know what I mean? I don't know if that's a trigger but I guess I was speaking very calmly. Like, I said, why didn't you eat like when I told you to eat? Like, I don't know if that's a trigger either. That probably is a trigger. But so I just kind of like said these things to her and I wasn't yelling or cursing, nothing like, and she just starts like getting so triggered and she ends up crying on the way down and she just starts saying all this stuff to me. Like, so she starts getting upset, crying. I'm like, why are you crying? I'm like, I didn't really even yell at you. Like, what? She's like, you always do this. We're always in a hurry and you always do this. And like, I think she feels like she's slowing me down or like she feels like less, I don't know what's going on with her.
What do you feel when you're in that moment?
Yeah, I feel a little triggered because I do feel a little triggered. And so, what do I feel? I'm trying to think the feeling. The feeling is like, why do I don't know what the thoughts, I know what the thoughts are, but the feeling.
What color is it? Close your eyes. What color is it that comes up to your mind?
Maybe orange.
Now look at your chart that you sent me yesterday and see what color that is.
Okay.
I want this chart. Can you send me this chart?
I'll send it to you, Stephen. Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure. I mean, I posted my first masterclass on Facebook. If you want to take, I don't know, doesn't seem like you have a lot of time, but you want to take
pull it up really quick and see what orange is, like what that dynamic is.
I can't because it's not my screen to share.
Well, can you see it on your screen? You don't have to share it.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. I have it. Right here.
You can tell us, yeah, what are the frequencies in orange?
Frustration, irritation, irritation, impatience. So yeah, that's what I was feeling. Yeah.
Now ask your daughter what color she saw during that same exchange.
Yeah, I should. That's interesting. That adds a different element to all of this. That's really cool. Yeah, and so she starts crying, and then of course, maybe it's my ego. She's saying, "Well, you make me feel this way, and I'm like, I can't make you feel anything. You just feel it on your own. She's like, yeah, I'm like, done with your spiritual bullshit. She said, spiritual bullshit. Oh yeah, I'm a sovereign being, like whatever. She just started on me. And so I decided, well, I'm not gonna get triggered. I'm just gonna laugh. I just started laughing and smiling and saying, I don't know. I just kind of was calm. I guess I helped her get through it. And I said, well, if anything, there's anything that I can do different to not upset you, let me know, and she calmed down and she was good after like maybe 5 or 10 minutes, and she found another solution. She found a sandwich at where I was going to the grocery store to get water. But I guess I noticed that, I just didn't want to get triggered the second time, because usually I would have gotten triggered the second time. I might have gotten louder or something, or because she starts with this crazy talk, like, being a little bit like insulting or whatever. So anyway,
May I offer you something?
uh,
Feeling your feelings fully. Allow them to feel their feelings fully. Let them scream, let them cry. Don't try to not upset them. Let them be upset. Let
okay,
them cry. Let them scream. Just listen. And also feel your feelings fully, because that's the only way that it'll get through. The emotion has to go through and come
right,
out, or else it's going to stay stuck. So feel your feelings fully. No, don't resort to violence. Don't, none of that kind of stuff. Like I'll give you an example. The other night, like when I found out my daughter was cutting, um, I asked her if she, like, that you need help, right? And she goes, yeah, I do. And I asked her if she wanted to go to the ER with me. And she was like, no, I'm not. She kind of got triggered about going to the doctor to go get that checked out. And um, it was about being traumatized about when she went to the mental institution because she tried to commit suicide back in September of last year. And so she was really triggered, thinking that I was going to take her to a mental institution. I was like, no, honey, I'm just going to go and get some resources so you can talk to someone and they know more about this than I do. And she kind of refused. And so I ended up calling and getting someone to come to the house. And she flipped out on me, like punching me, screaming at me, saying all these horrible things. And all I kept saying was, I'm right here and I love you and it's okay. Go ahead. You can hit me. Go ahead. I'm right here, honey. I'm not going anywhere. And she stopped. She immediately stopped. And then she just, started talking and started saying things and getting it out. And I'm like, let it all out, baby. It's okay. You can let it all out. And then the people came upstairs and started talking with her and calmed her down. They talked about a lot of different things and kind of co-regulated her a little bit, and I'm like, I'm going to walk downstairs. So maybe I think she'll be able to open up a little bit more. Sometimes it's not you that they need. Sometimes it's other people, and I didn't have her go anywhere after that. I was like, look, I just need you to know that there's other ways that you could de-stress. You can snap a rubber band on your wrist. Now they have different resources, they have different ways to talk and give kids a different ways to try to go through things. You don't have to mutilate your body to do those things. And yeah, they just talked to her, and the way that they talked to her, I needed that. Like I needed to hear that, like what they said and all that kind of stuff. So it was just really powerful. And she didn't go anywhere. I said, no, like they were like, it's your choice if she goes. And I'm like, no, but I do need to know that it's very serious and this is dangerous and that she's loved. I needed her to know that she's loved and cared for. And then yeah, it was just very powerful to allow someone to feel fully and let them get it out, you know. So I hope that it
no,
kind of
that
helps.
that does help. Yeah, definitely. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
So-
It helped me a lot. I didn't even know because it was for me too, man. When it was happening in that moment, I was just like, I don't know what the fuck is going on right now, but God take the wheel, you know? God take the wheel.
Yeah. You're gonna say something, Stephen? Dreaming?
Yeah, I have that similar thing with my son. He gets really frustrated, and like it shifts as soon as I offer a safe and like secure space. Like he shifts once he feels safe in that and can feel through all that. Otherwise, it is like bursting. And so I guess in that, safety and security offers a container for that stuff to flow through. It goes back to really the masculine and feminine holding that structure so can feel through the emotions and flow through it a little bit, especially for
Yeah.
kids, being able to feel that safety and security to have whatever's going through, and then just really it's just holding space for them, to allow them to be able to flow through it, and then they can figure out how that flows, and not regulate it, but understand it, I guess, and where it came from, and get to whatever the root is of it.
I was gonna say, is he too little to have a breakthrough?
Um,
Probably.
yeah,
How old is he?
he's 5. He's getting close to it. Kinley's already had 2, I think, and Riker will be probably soon, and yeah, at some point in time. John likes working with kids apparently, so I think he likes. I think he prefers them over adults because there's a lot more good on adults.
A lot more what?
Kids are
They're
closer to the light
Yes.
to love than we are.
Yes. I was gonna say they're easier. They have less programming.
Exactly, and they come from a more of a pure sense than where we are. We have this up here that we think is more aware or more in tune, and it's not. So
Right. All right. Well, are you still doing your master class? Yes, you are, right? Yeah. Okay.
Of course.
We'll see you. I'll see you then.
all right, 45
Alrighty.
minutes.
See you guys. Love
Love
you guys.
you.
Responsibility.
Yeah. Responsibility.
That was actually my name after the hot seat that I just had recently. That was given to me was responsibility. So this was fitting.
Awesome.
Really? That's one of the 3 things I saw missing. It's the first one, actually. It's responsibility, self-love, and inspiration. Interesting.
Cool.
Love you guys.
Love you
Love
both.
you guys. See ya soon.
Bye.